Hola clase, hoy vamos a hablar sobre los pronombres en español. Okay, so our topic for today is going to be pronouns in Spanish. We're going to first start by reviewing. Okay, let's spend a moment here and talk about direct object pronouns. As you know, direct objects receive the action of the verb. Look at this model sentence. We do our homework. What is it that we do? Homework. Okay, so homework is your direct object. You can easily find direct objects in a sentence because they'll answer the question who or what about the verb. Look at these two sample sentences. I read a book. What do I read? A book. Okay, so book is your direct object here. In the second sentence, Juan sees Eva. Who does Juan see? Eva. So Eva is the direct object here. Okay, now that we've reviewed direct objects, let's talk about direct object pronouns. A direct object pronoun is going to take the place of the direct object noun. Look at this sentence. She buys the ticket. Ticket is your direct object. You could replace ticket with the pronoun and say it. So she buys it. Okay, let's go over how to use direct object pronouns in Spanish. On your note guide, I would like you to write down these direct object pronouns. They're written in blue. Okay, you know that me means me, te means you, lo means you formal, him or it, la means you formal, her or it, nos means us, os is you plural in Spain. You don't need to worry about that one. Los means you plural and them, and las means you plural and them. Okay, so how would I use a direct object pronoun? Okay, basically, you just have to worry about their placement. Okay, so when you have one verb, your direct object pronoun, or your DOP, is going to go before that conjugated verb. So in my example sentence here, I say, yo te veo. I see you. Okay, so that direct object pronoun, that DOP, has got to go right before the conjugated verb. When you have two verbs, you're going to have two options as to where you can put that direct object pronoun. You can put it before the first verb, or you can attach it to the second. So look at these sentences here. Yo te puedo ver. I can see you. I put it here before the first verb. Or you can say yo puedo verte. You can attach it to the second. Okay, let's review indirect object pronouns. You haven't seen these this year. So let's review. Indirect objects are nouns that answer the question to whom or for whom. So let's look at this sentence. She writes a letter to John. She is the subject, writes is the verb. So what does she write? A letter. There's your direct object. Who does she write the letter to? To John. John is the indirect object. Okay? So the indirect object is going to receive the direct object. You can also, with indirect objects, almost always find them easily if you can stick the word to or for in front of them. Okay, just like with direct objects, indirect object pronouns take the place of the indirect object noun. So let's look at this sentence. I give her a ticket. I give a ticket to her. Okay, so to her is the indirect object noun. You can replace that with the indirect object pronoun. Okay, so you've got yo le doy un boleto. And as I was hinting about with the green sentence here, a sentence that contains an indirect object also will have a direct object. Okay, so he brings me the uniform. What does he bring? The uniform. So there's your direct object. Who does he bring the uniform to? He brings it to me. Okay, so me is the indirect object. Okay, let's write down our indirect object pronouns. Please fill out the chart on your note guide. Me means to or for me. Te means to or for you. Le means to or for you, him, her, or it. Nos means to or for us. Os is to or for you in Spain. and les is to or for you or them. As far as using indirect object pronouns, or what I like to call IDOPs, it's the same placement rules as you have with direct objects. Okay, so if there's one verb, that indirect object pronoun has to go before the conjugated verb. So look at my sample sentence. Yo te compro un boleto. I buy you a ticket. I buy a ticket for you. So te here is your indirect object pronoun. When you have two verbs, you have two options, okay, of where you can put your IDOP. Just like DOPs, you can put it before the first verb or you can attach it to the second. So yo te puedo escribir una carta or yo puedo escribirte una carta. I can write a letter to you. Okay. So what happens if I happen to have a direct object pronoun and an indirect object pronoun in the same sentence? Look at my sentence here. The server brings the broth to Juan and me. El camarero nos trae el caldo a Juan y a mí. So if I wanted to say here, the server brings it to us, what would I do with the it? You're going to have to put it after your direct object pronoun. Okay, so when you have more than one pronoun in a sentence, they have to go in the order of rid. Okay, so that means the reflexive pronoun has to come first, the indirect object pronoun would have to go second, and the direct object would have to go last. Okay, so look at this sentence. The server brings it to us. Okay, these pronouns did go in the order of rid because to us, that's the indirect, and and the lo, that's the direct object. It went second. Okay. Before we do some practice sentences, I just want to remind you of placement here. On your note guide, section 4 here, just a reminder, when using a direct object pronoun, an indirect object pronoun, any pronoun for that matter, or using them together in the order of rid, your placement rules are always the same. If you've got one verb, your pronoun or pronouns must go before that conjugated verb. When you have two verbs, you have two options. You can put the pronoun or the pronouns before the first verb or attached to the second. You will notice this is something different than just using one pronoun. Read this last rule here. When you attach pronouns, if you attach two, you need to accent the stressed syllable. Okay, so look at my sample sentence here. She needs to bring it to us. Ella necesita traérnoslo. Because you added two syllables here, you need to add an accent to keep the stress where it belongs. Okay, that's going to be on the E of an infinitive, ER. Okay, it'll be on the A of an AR verb, the I of an IR verb, or the E of an ER verb. Okay, we'll talk more about stress and accents in class. Okay, but I just wanted you to note that it is written on your note guide for you. Okay, let's practice with this and see if you can replace direct object nouns with a direct object pronoun and then put it in the right area. The directions say, rewrite these sentences replacing the direct object with the direct object pronoun. Remember, your pronouns must go in the order of rid. So let's do number 1 together. This says, I serve the salads to you. I want to replace the salads with a DOP, so that my sentence will read, I serve them to you. Take a second, see if you can do that. Okay, your answer should read, yo te las sirvo. Okay, please pause me, work on 2 through 5, replace the direct object with a DOP, and then put it in the right area. Okay, let's review. Number 2 says, she gives the bill to me. You're trying to say she gives it to me. Ella me la da. 3. They bring the desserts to us. They bring them to us. Ellos nos los traen. 4. We're going to serve the paella to you. We're going to serve it to you. Nosotros vamos a servírtela. Servírtela is going to have an accent here on the I. And 5. You brush your teeth. Trying to say you brush them. Notice, cepillarse, that's a reflexive verb, so you've got a reflexive pronoun here. To say you brush them, tú te los cepillas. Okay. We've got one more thing to talk about, and that is the la la rule. Okay, so if you're using two pronouns together in the same sentence, you have to be careful of the la la rule. That rule is, if both pronouns start with the letter L, you need to change the indirect object pronoun lay or lace to say. So let's look at this sentence. I give the bill to Juan. Okay, so I give it to him. If you didn't know any better, you would say yo le la doy a Juan. You don't want le la. It has to change, le needs to change to say, and it will say yo se la doy. Same thing is going to happen with to them. Look at this sentence. I serve the tea to my friends. If you're trying to say I serve it to them, if you didn't know any better, you would say yo les lo sirvo a mis amigos. You don't want les lo. You need say lo. Okay, so a fun way to remember this la la rule is you can't lay low, you can't lay la, you can't lay slow, any of that. Okay, the you can't lay low is the one that helps the most. Okay, you've got 4 more practice questions here, and then we're all done. The directions say, translate the following sentences using an I dot and a dot. Okay, remember that your pronouns must go in the order of rid. I also want to tell you here that number 4 does not have an I dot in it because the verb is reflexive. Okay, so let's do number 1 together. You will notice here I used the future and conditional tense, just so you can practice with that a little more since we learned it here in chapter 3. Okay, number 1 says, you will sell it to me. The it I'm talking about is la comida. Alright, so let's do the verb first. You will sell. The verb to sell is vender. So in the future, it would be venderás. And then it to me. You've got me and you've got la. What order do they go in? Okay, your answer should read, me la venderás. Me la venderás. Okay, please go on to do number 2 and 3 and 4. Notice that 2 and 3 are written in the conditional tense, and number 4 is written in the future. And number 4, I will wash them before eating. The them I'm talking about is hands, so that means the verb to wash is not just lavar, it's reflexive, it's lavarse. Okay, please pause me and work through these sentences. Okay, let's review. Number 2, they would serve them to him. Se las servirían. Did you forget the la la rule here? If you had le las, you forgot the la la rule. 3, she would give it to us. Nos lo daría. And 4, I will wash them before eating. Me las lavaré antes de comer. Okay? If you have any questions, please write them down on your note guide. I'd also like you to read in Conversación y Repaso. I'd like you to read pages 64 through 66 to review indirect object pronouns and double object pronouns a little bit more. Okay, muchas gracias. Adiós.